The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Don't think, feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Thomas, my good friend, how are you doing?
Fantastic, Nick. Thanks for asking.
I just want to turn this brightness down on my screen because that pearly white smile is almost blinding me.
Oh man, I've been in Palm Springs, enjoying 95-degree pool water when everyone else is freezing their nuts off in Thanksgiving. It was great.
It's really cool. I have a question for you, my friend.
Go ahead. I'll see if I can answer it.
It's gonna be a slight departure from last week's porn conversation, and this one is, what's the quality you admire most in a woman?
Wow, great question. I assume that this is a liquid answer depending on the age, and who's present. Just kidding. What quality do I admire most? Like one?
Yeah, let's stick with one. If there was a way to reframe that question is, what quality could you not go without in your partner, your romantic partner?
Well, I would say right off the bat intelligence, but I think it can probably be honed down even more. It might be experience. I will say experience, because that can make up for so much else that is lacking, or that just is okay. When you have somebody who has a great deal of experience across a broad variety of things, they're able to just kind of handle any moment, any conversation, any company, any environment, with so much, with much more ease than someone that doesn't have it. In fact, I have a couple of friends that use Tinder to date younger women, and that's the number one complaint. It's like, this girl can't even relate to me. A running joke a buddy of mine and I have is, he's really, really good at drums. And he goes out with these women that are in their early 20s. And it's not like this is explicitly said, but the impression he gets is that they're kind of like, oh, you play a real instrument when you could just be making music on the computer? Grow up, stupid. And he's so often disappointed by that. And I think that, I don't know, man, having one foot in that old world, like we've talked about, I love somebody that can talk about paintings and food and travel and physicality and music and on and on and on. I think the more experience a woman has, the more attractive she is and grows, continues to be. That will, and I would have said something different 10 years ago, right? I might have said, oh, just a sense of humor, or like good at drinking and smoking cigarettes until she passes out like I do, or, listening to the cool music, whatever it is. But I think experience, that's probably for men and women. I think that's probably the most attractive quality for me as a 37-year-old man, in people in general. If you have something to teach me, I definitely want to know about it. And there will be tons of compelling conversation, at least for me, with my prying questions as far as that goes.
That's so interesting you mentioned that. I was, something I've had on my mind for a long time is, I used to think that the person that you were was a set point. So, set by both genetics and, to a much, much lesser degree, early childhood. And that kind of defined you as whatever, introverted, extroverted, adventurous, cool, whatever the way you want to define the person would be. But something that I've changed my perspective lately, and now I realize that you are to a huge degree the sum of your experiences. Like you can remake yourself through experiences massively. And I'd always kind of intellectually known that that was a possibility or that that was a theory, but it's only now that I have some life experience that I realize I am the sum of a lot more than just genetics and early childhood, the stuff I did and the adventures I took, and that is me to a large degree. Like it's literally like that has colored my consciousness. My consciousness is fundamentally different as a result of the experiences I've had. It is literally a different consciousness. And my first martial arts instructor was a very, very interesting guy. And he always used to say, work on things that you can take with you when you go. And I finally understand what he means by that. Like if I leave now, like let's say I die and my consciousness and my soul, my spirit leaves and enters into another body and starts the process again, even if it was an identical body genetically, it would be a completely different human being because that consciousness has expanded or changed so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. But what do you admire in a woman?
You dick. Okay, so
It's just one quality now.
yeah, I got it. Being here, being here in Thailand, man, it's an interesting thing you notice about the woman here. A friend and I, we've noticed that we're at a restaurant the other day, and the woman, like the waitresses and the serving staff, man, they glide. They don't walk or stomp or march. They literally glide, right? And they're quiet. They're so quiet, bro. And it's the quality. They're so gentle. They're gentle, dude. And it's one of the things about my girlfriend that I love so much is she's very gentle and feminine. Gentle being the predominant one. And if a woman doesn't have that, it's just I think it would be a very tough sell. And I think
So grace, basically.
Grace is maybe a better way to describe it. Grace is probably a better word. It's amazing here, Thomas. I'd really like you to see it one day. Like I aesthetically, I don't really find Thai women appealing, but I absolutely am amazed by that. Literally, bro, they float like swans, bro. They so it's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Wow. I don't recall. I guess we spent a lot of time in Vietnam and Thailand, and I do recall just sort of the demure nature of the women. I don't recall the floating bit, but I guess they are very gentle compared to, say, a girl from who's at UCLA doing CrossFit. I think you're going to see a lot more stomping and just demonstrative prowess from a Western female in that regard.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's just I know which I prefer.
Why do you suppose that is? What's the nature of that?
I don't know, dude. Probably because I'm surrounded by masculine energy all the time, and I have been since I can remember. And it's kind of the thing. One of the reasons, like I think that I've identified for myself, it's nothing new, but I didn't really understand it until recently. It was that's like when you're with a woman. That's for me my favorite part is like the man is the active principle in the world, or the masculine energy is the active principle. You're out doing your thing, like gathering resources or making your mark on the world or conquering or whatever it is. You're the active principle. and the woman is like the much more passive, gentle principle, or the feminine energy is the more gentle like energy. And sometimes with the girl, my favorite thing is when you get there and she's just, you can feel that gentleness, that yin, like wash over the yang, and it's almost, I always think of it, it's like pouring water on a fire. That's,
Yeah.
And coming back to our conversation from last week about porn, I'm studying tantra a little bit and spiritual sexuality and those kinds of things, and I'm realizing that there's none of that in porn, dude. Do you know what I mean? There's none of that higher level stuff. It's just the raw animal thing, which is, that's cool. It has its place, but I think that you need both, really. And
well, yeah, I mean, there's very little what seems to be genuine reciprocation in pornography. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem loving and sensual in that way, which is, I think what you're talking about, right? I mean, it's just like money shots and penetration and precisely what you're talking about, like the animal thing. Then again, I haven't watched it in a long time. I think times may be a changing. Porn may have really, really progressed and evolved, but from what back in my day, when I remember, yeah, it wasn't the yin and yang, in balance and doing this, beautiful dance. It was more like, bust a nut and see where it goes.
Yeah, and again, I'm really trying not to make like some sanctimonious judgment on anything. I'm just going with what I feel, like it's all we can really do, right? And my instinct. I mean, I wish I felt that porn was awesome and like, but I just don't. And that quality, that's the quality I think I'd find most attractive, is that gentleness.
Can I ask you what quality you find most attractive in a man?
Yeah. It's the ability to hold a conversation. That's when I know I've connected well with a guy, with my friends, especially my male friends. And that's what my girlfriend read a book many years ago. It's called, I think it's The 5 Love Languages or something. And the premise is that we each have 2 major ways in which we display and receive love, or like to receive love. And one is gift giving, the other is words of affirmation, another is acts of service, another is quality time, and I think the last one is
pearl necklace, right?
Conversation. And man, like I know for me, when I've had a good conversation with someone, I feel really connected to them. And hey, that's what this is about, I guess. That's why I love you so much.
Sure, exactly.
You're not getting a pearl necklace, though, you sick fuck.
All right. Conversation, that being able to hold a conversation, that's number one.
I guess if you scale back, it's just intelligence. Then it's intelligence and the ability to use that intelligence to transmit it and connect it with another person's intelligence, which is, I guess, what a quality conversation is. There's a lot of super intelligent people out there who are just unable to connect and engage with the world at large and other individuals, and I don't personally find that attractive.
Yeah, I think I'd be a little bit, I'm torn on that one because I would be quick to say, again, it's experience. A man with a ton of experience is someone you could probably talk to forever, assuming he can, have a conversation in a decent way. But also maybe a part of me admires somebody who is held in the highest esteem, someone who is literate with it. I can't remember how Tim Ferriss said it. I was listening to him earlier. It was like, you can do things with your hands, like cook and build and work, in a way that is, befitting of survival. And sometimes I feel really inept and deconditioned in that way. And whenever I meet somebody who's, super capable in that way, I'm just enamored of them. I'm like, wow, you can build a house with your hands and you can hunt food. You're so amazing.
Yeah, but can he? This is I was having a similar conversation with someone the other day. It was again on this trip in the jungle of Thailand. We had a guide, and I noticed my stereotyping, judgmental mind was doing one of two things whenever I was observing him, and that was at first I was thinking, oh, this guy's so simple, like his life's so simple. He wouldn't be able to deal with the complexities of my life, right? And then it swung over later when we were halfway up this hike, and he came to some big tree, chopped down one of the huge leaves, and made this weird like sunshade hat out of it. And my mind swung back another way, and it was like, wow, like I wouldn't. I mean, this guy knows way more about all this stuff than I do. Like, and a friend and I were discussing it, and I realized that it's just everything is a specialization, right? Like your life will automatically lead you into a specialization or several subspecializations, and you adapt for the circumstances in which you find yourself. And yeah, that guy could never go and sit and create a website, sure, and I could never go and identify the poisonous centipede in the middle of the Thai jungle, but that doesn't mean one is better or worse than the other. And that's what I keep telling myself when I remember that I don't know how to make a house with my bare hands.
Well said, my man. Well said.
Yeah.
All right, because I do feel like one is better than the other some days, and then you're right. The other days I swing back, but I don't know. So there's a deep part of me that thinks maybe we all should be pretty well versed in basic shit. The fact that guy knows his environment is only poignant when you look at how well you know your own, and that's when you feel like it. But that's just it. Like, okay, you're in Thailand. What, a fourth of the year? The rest of the time, you can navigate pretty well the city streets, etc. You're only feeling like a fish out of water for this tiny, portion of the year. And I guess most of the time, you're pretty confident where you go, right?
I like to think so, but yeah, until you get to a really foreign or new experience, and then you're like, whoa, then you realize just how fragile and how far out of your depth you are,
Well, knowing that, don't you think we should probably endeavor to, check a couple of very basic things off of our list?
Without question.
As soon as possible?
Without question, man. I mean, it's something it's on my to-do list, Robert Heinlein, that author of a bunch of the sci-fi novels, his classic line, specialization is for insects.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, and then he goes on to say, every man should know how to stitch a wound, slaughter a hog, make a shelter, whatever that litany of things was.
Yeah.
And that's often in my mind. I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know how to hunt stuff or whatever, and I should be looking into this,
Right, exactly.
And I will one day. I just there's certain things which I've decided are more pressing. Like statistically, the probability of the world ending tomorrow and me having to, I don't know how to purify water is a lot lower than me needing to advance a certain aspect of my business by X time next year. It's just I'm making what I consider to be an intelligent choice with my limited mental and energetic resources.
Don't you think it would be a successful endeavor to have a university where people go learn how to be effective humans in terms of the most basic, graduating up to a higher scale? Like that shit's not. Maybe that exists. In fact, I'm certain it does.
Yeah, it's called life, bro.
Yeah, is that what it is? Life has not taught me how to, like sew up my own fucking wound like John Rambo. It hasn't taught me how to deliver a baby. I guess when you're thrown into the circumstance, yeah, but it seems like it would be cool to have a platform to go, here's how you build a lean-to in the, fucking shittiest conditions there are. Here's how to hunt whatever game is available.
School should do that. I mean, in fact, I did learn a bunch of those things in school. We'd go on like camps, and I remember learning about learn how to build a lean-to and a bunch of very basic survival skills. I forgot most of them now, but it ties into something that the other day I was dealing with like quite an emotional issue. I was having there was some tension between myself and a business partner, and I was dealing with this like energy that was just sitting in my chest, like this anxiety, and I was like, I've learned a few techniques from books that I've read over the last few years about how to manage your emotions and your state, and I was just thinking, why the fuck wasn't I shown this in school? Why was I shown these incredibly? I mean, sure, I'm not going to be one of those guys who says, "Oh, I didn't learn anything good in school," because I learned how to read and I learned how to write and I learned how to count and a million other great skills, but there are a bunch of them that were borderline useless and that would have been far better replaced with some of the stuff that I've had to deal with in my adult life. Like, I don't know, if I ever had kids, I'd want a very different curriculum for them than the one I experienced in school.
Yeah, totally agree with that shit. Oh my god.
Man, it's been really good chatting to you, Thomas. Should we tell the peeps, or ask the peeps to leave a review for us on iTunes?
Oh yes, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Do we have a Facebook page?
We do indeed,
Like
my
our
man.
Facebook page.
Yeah, and follow our Instagram.
Follow the Instagram, and read the articles, and go back and retroactively listen to all the things that we've said, because it's all pretty much gold.
And it's all building. I think the conversations are building on each other. So we reference stuff in certain episodes from previous episodes. So I kind of like the nature of that aspect of digital communion. How there's a bunch of threads that are flowing through multiple episodes. I think it's kind of cool.
That's very cool. And I was joking about the gold part, but we would appreciate it if you listened, because that's sort of why we're doing it.
Okay, my man. I'll catch you next time.
All right, buddy. Peace.